Hello, hello. Merry Christmas or happy holidays, or just celebrate life. Wherever you are in your world, I hope that's you find blessings and happiness. We have about 1 minute before we get started. I'm a little red in the face. I just did a workout. I had some energy to burn. So create a space for you to do your practice. You don't need any props for this practice, but I always recommend grabbing a blanket. If you have blocks, feel free to grab them. Always for the end of class for our final relaxation, anything that's going to make you more comfortable. So settle yourself in and we'll get started in about 40 seconds. I'm just going to make my way to my space now. Take my socks off. My feet were cold this morning. We are going to start standing, so don't sit yet. We'll get there, don't worry. And off we go. So welcome to this de-stress gentle yoga practice. It's going to be a very slow flow kind of practice. We're going to start out standing and then I'm going to bring you down to some stretches and then we're going to end up lying down. So just come into your space right now. And this time of year can be hectic. It can be busy. For me at work, it's year end. So there's a lot going on. So I wanted to start this practice with just a little release because stuff gets stuck in our body. So shaking, and let's start. Shaking, moving, getting rid of stuff, just letting stuff go. Stuff gets trapped inside us. Trauma gets trapped inside us, stress, emotional baggage. Sometimes we're with people we don't necessarily like to spend time with and we're stuck holding things in we can't say or doing things we don't want to do. So just let it out. Maybe if you're in a space where you can yell or even just sigh really loudly and kind of let it go. Get a little crazy if you need to. Let it all out. Let it all out. If you're going to feel weird, it's okay. It's helping you. It's letting stuff go. Just a few more shakes. Get the legs in there. Shake the butt. Whatever you need to do. And then come to a standing position, mountain pose. And take a moment. Ground yourself. This practice today is meant to be grounding, to help you regroup and to de-stress and give you some tools you can use off the mat to help you de-stress. So always standing or sitting on your own 2 feet and just noticing that you are standing or sitting, if you're sitting, strong. There's nothing better than knowing that you can stand on your own 2 feet. And we're just going to find our breath here. So inhaling through nose, a nice deep breath, 3-part breath. The belly expands, the ribs expand, then the chest lifts, and then we let it all go like you're filling a glass of water. Breathing here, we're going to come to basically an affirmation that we can use off the mat, but we're going to use it in our practice right now. So kind of whatever appeals to you of all these ones. The universe has my back. Sometimes it feels a little better to use everything's going to be okay. Sometimes it feels good to maybe not associate with the words as much. So something like Hakuna Matata or even Que Sera, Sera, one of my favorites. If you got a little bit of witch in you, as it is, so it shall be. Any of those that resonate with you, grab it. Let that be your affirmation for class and just breathe that in. Maybe as you inhale, the universe, and as you exhale, has my back. Or as you inhale, everything is, and as you exhale, going to be okay. Any of those affirmations, take a few breaths here. Kind of bring that centering energy into yourself. And sometimes when we're off the mat, all we need to do is take a second. Maybe you have to hide in the bathroom or your bedroom. Take a few deep breaths, stand on your own 2 feet, and say these words to yourself. Hakuna Matata. Que Sera, Sera. Guess what? This too shall pass. Let's just take a few more breaths here, knowing we can come back to this anytime to de-stress, to ground ourselves, to regroup. Feel your feet holding you up, almost as if you've grown roots. One more nice deep breath. Inhale through nose. Slow exhale through nose or mouth. Let's start to open up the hips. That's where we hold a lot of tension. So just sending one leg back. It doesn't matter which. Pushing the pelvis forward a little bit. Squeeze your butt cheek. And then the leg that's back, let's lift up that arm. And if we can, even open up a little more crescent shaped here. Creating a nice long line in that side of the body. Lengthening. Finding space, maybe you're releasing. Let's come back in. Other leg goes back. Toes are down, heels up. pressing the hips forward, squeezing the glute. And then if we like adding the arm for some extra lengthening, you might feel that pull all the way up this line, this side of the body, maybe opening a bit more, a little crescent shape. And coming back in, we're gonna do one more to each side. So stepping that leg back, keeping your balance. I haven't even started drinking yet today. Whew. And opening up. Breathe here. Apparently I need some more grounding. Let it go. Wherever you got inside you, let it go. And one more time, let's step in, change sides. Opening up, lengthening. Breathing into that space. And then coming back to center. We're just going to do a little warming of the body. So just a little step to the side, a little sit in a chair, come back up, feet hip distance, arms to center, knuckles to center, and then rotate. And we're going to move to the other side. We're going to make it a little more fluid and then rotate the other way. Now, if you get mixed up with which side you're rotating on, don't worry. As long as you're doing a few to each side. So we're warming up the legs. You don't have to sit down very low. And we're warming up the back, getting some movement in our spine, mid-back. Sometimes we hold things in our back and our shoulders. So just starting to create some space to let go, at the same time maintaining mobility in our spine. And these little tiny chairs are warming up the body so we can stretch safely when we get down to our mat. Just a few more. Let's do 2 more to each side here. Moving with our breath. You can exhale through nose or mouth, whichever feels better to you right now. Last one here. And then just come back to that mountain pose. Maybe say that affirmation again a couple times. And as we say it, let's move to the top of our mat and reset in mountain pose. Inhale, sweep the arms up, let the palms touch, and let's come to a chair, palms at heart center. And just take a few breaths here. It doesn't have to be a deep chair. And then we're going to exhale, just kind of dive to our forward fold. And hands might stay on the thighs, on the shins. We might bring forearms to shins. If we're ready, we can kind of hang or dangle here. Releasing the head and neck. Knees might be bent a lot. This might be the first time we bent over today. So give a little grace to your hamstrings and your glutes. They're like, what are you doing? So just give them a moment to kind of catch up. We might sway a little bit here if that feels good. So maybe sigh or make a sound again, let some stuff go. And then soften the knees, walk yourself up to chair again. So kind of walking up the mountain to get to your chair. Good, again, diving, finding our forward fold. Pausing here just for a couple breaths. We might shake or nod the head. We might add a little bit of swaying. And then coming to center, bending the knees like you're going to sit. Walk up that mountain, coming to chair. Letting the shoulders relax. Folding again as we exhale. A couple breaths here. Again, any movement that feels good, again, that helps to let stuff go. Coming to center, softening the knees, sitting the hips back, walking up, finding our chair here. We're going to do that one more time. Finding our fold. Releasing head, neck. Again, sighing, making a sound, let stuff go. And then bend the knees like you're about to sit. Draw a belly button in, always supporting our spine, core engagement. Finding our chair. And then we're just going to push ourselves up to standing. Bringing our hands to our hips. We're going to take our left leg back, keeping it hip distance. You get to decide how far back you go. The further back you go, the more challenging this will be. We can sink a little bit in the legs. So you do you. Hips are square. That's why I had you place your hands there. And then we can move them if we like. Maybe to heart center, maybe up. Makes us a little more challenging, lifting the arms up. Just noticing the strength in our legs. Noticing ourselves, holding ourselves up. We're our own hero. You're the hero of your own story. Let's spin the heel down, open up the body, find warrior two. So front knee is bent. If I look past the inside of my knee, I should see my big toe, back leg, long and strong. And then again, you get to decide how far apart those legs are and how much you want to sink. Shoulders over hips, we're just looking over the front arm. Breathing here. And then we're going to flip that front palm up Just lifting up, reverse warrior. So we're reaching to the floor, reaching to the ceiling, almost tethering ourselves to what's above and what's below, the earth, the sky, the universe, the spirit, whatever we want to call it, to know that we're supported. Everything's going to be okay. Breathe, opening up the space between our ribs. So we're stretching all these little muscles between our ribs so we can take deep breaths. What do deep breaths do? Calm us down. Take as many deep breaths throughout the day as you can. Come back up to warrior two, a little pause, just slow movement. And then we're going to straighten the front leg. And just notice, before we move here, notice how it feels to straighten the leg from bent to straight. Maybe you had a moment of, and maybe you notice no difference. With that leg straight, we're going to shift forward, send the hips back. Hands just going to come in front of the leg, and we're going to reach up to our triangle. So if it's uncomfortable having that arm up, we know we can bring it to our back, to our hip. Our goal here is rotation. So we want to open up the ribs. Send your love out to the sides. Breathe here. Strong feet connecting you to the floor, grounding you. One more breath. Again, I'm not going to hold you too long in these poses. And then we're going to soften the knees so we can push ourselves back up to that warrior two. Let the hands float to your hips. We're going to turn the feet to the wide corners of our mat. And then just kind of let that go. Sunflowers. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, let it go. And maybe we make that sigh or a sound. Maybe we come back to that affirmation. Okay, Sarasara. Whatever will be, will be. For those of you who might know, there's actually not a lot of people who know this about me, so I do have a few tattoos. The lyrics to Que Sera Sera are tattooed on my side. It was my sister's favorite song, so in honor of her, I had that added. Good, whatever will be, will be. One more time. Inhale, reach up. 5-pointed star, grow tall, shine bright. Let your essence shine through. Find the light. You might feel it right above your belly button in your solar plexus chakra, your core being. And then circle out the arms, shake them out, let stuff go. Let's find that warrior two again. Pause here. Knowing warrior poses, we find our strength in them. We're strong here. It's challenging but doable. Let the hands come down to your hips. We're going to push off with that back foot and find the top of our mat again. So I'm just going to turn around so I'm still facing camera as we do that all on side two. So take a moment to settle in. So we've done one side. Kind of notice how you feel. Take a few breaths. Regroup. Ground yourself again. So from movement back to stillness, finding ourselves here, nice and strong, preparing for movement on side two. Inhale, sweep up. Let the palms touch. Let's come to heart center, finding our chair. With our exhale, we're going to fold. Maybe noticing we can lengthen the legs a little bit more now that we've warmed up a little bit. Again, we can shake or nod the head. Sigh or make a sound as we exhale here. And then bend the knees like you're about to sit. Walk up your mountain. Find chair again. Press up, hands to hips. This time the right leg steps back and we find our lunge on this side. And it might be a different lunge than side one. Honor your hips, honor your joints, honor where your body is in this space. Hips are square. That's why I had you place your hands here. Once we're grounded, once we're stable, those legs are strong. We can shift our arms to different places. Let the shoulders relax. Find a focal point maybe. That'll help with our balance. It'll help us to just focus on this practice. We call it our dristi in Sanskrit, our point of concentration. And then spinning that back heel down, opening up to our warrior two on this side. So checking in with the feet, that's what's holding you up. Front knees bent. We're using the legs to hold us nice and strong here. Back leg, again, nice and strong. Pinky toe edge of the foot pressing into the mat. Breathing here. Noticing this warrior strength we have within us. And then the front palm flips up. Let's lift it up Go backwards, reverse warrior. So we're still bending that front knee. We're opening up all those little spaces between our ribs so we can take deep breaths and stay calm. We're reaching above, we're reaching below. Maybe imagining we're tethered to both. So we know we're grounded in this space. We're supported in this space. Maybe we open up just a little bit more. And then we come back to warrior two and just pause, maybe reflect a little bit. I always encourage journaling after a practice like this. So after this class, if you feel like you have stuff you need to let out, find some paper and pen or a computer and just let it out. And then you can burn it. Also, fire purging, one of my favorite things to do. Good. Straighten the leg. Take a moment. Notice how that feels now that we've straightened the leg. You might have gone, that feels better. And then we're going to shift forward. Send the hip back at the same time we reach. Find our triangle on this side. So reaching up, reaching down, or again, top arm, shoulders reaching up. The arm just comes down to keep that shoulder joint safe. Sometimes it impinges the joint, especially if you've had an injury there. My shoulder on this side is a little crankier than the other side. Probably because I'm right-handed, it's my dominant side, and I use it and abuse it a little bit. Opening. Sending our heart center, our love out, which means you might have to come up a little bit to be able to open and get that rotation. One more breath here. Again, I'm not going to hold you too long here. Bend the knee, come back up to that warrior two. Again, noticing that warrior strength. Good, hands come to hips. Turn the feet to the wide edges of your mat. Just making sure knees aren't going to push past the toes. We're going to do a little energizing breath with this one instead of our sunflowers, just in case you feel like this time of year, sometimes we're a little lethargic. People suffer from depression. I have sat a lot. So maybe drawing energy in. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, reach up. Exhale. Grab what you need. Energy, oxygen, life force, whatever you want to call it, prana, chi. Grab it, take it in. Maybe imagine as you exhale, you're sending it throughout your body. You can make this faster, slower, super slow if you like. This is your practice, so you go at your own pace. I'm going to start to slow it down. So you can make this as energetic as you like. You can make it imaginary energetic, so you can make it really slow, but really imagine you're drawing in the energy that you need. Good, one more. Let's just hold down, pause, breathe, feel our strength. We're on our own 2 feet. Send the arms back up, straighten the legs, 5-pointed star. Maybe you twinkle a little bit. Again, finding that light right in your center, right in your core. Know that you have everything you need inside you. You just need to access it. You just need to remember that you're a strong warrior being. Bringing the arms down, making our way back to that warrior two. Hands come to hips, and let's push off with the back leg. Find our mountain pose. And again, take a moment. Ground yourself. Reflect. We've now done both sides, so we're even in our movement. Take a moment to notice what balance feels like. And again, maybe come back to that affirmation. Everything's going to be okay. As it is, so it shall be. One more breath here. Good. Inhale, sweep up. Soften the knees, scoop the belly button, swan dive here. Take your time to your forward fold. This is our last standing forward fold. So take a moment here. Again, maybe you clasp elbows, you sway, maybe you drag your hands on the floor. You can shake and nod your heads. Finding some length in the backs of the legs. Hamstrings are often tight. We spend a lot of time sitting. We use the fronts of the legs a lot for activities that we do. So again, give them some grace. Maybe bend the knees and back off a little bit. Just a couple more breaths here. Let the jaw be a bit slack. As we finish this last breath here, start to soften the knees. Let your hands come down to the floor and walk back to a downward facing dog. Spreading the fingers, pushing against the floor. A nice stretch here. We're only doing this one downward facing dog in this practice today, so feel free to take advantage and add maybe some movement, stretching out the feet, the calves. You can just hold and breathe here, finding length in the backside of the body, spending some time upside down. Let's take 2 or 3 more breaths here in our space. And when we finish that second or third breath, coming down to the knees and finding resting pose. We can take the knees a little wider. Arms might stay long in an extended resting pose, so we get a nice stretch through the back and in the backs of the arms. Or we might tuck the arms in to rest the forehead. Feel free to add any movement. You can rock the hips, rock the forehead. You can even get a little wavy in the back here. Make it your own, and then settle in. Come back to actually rest. Come back to that 3-part, that deep breath, and we can really feel the ribs move in the backside of the body in this position. Kind of like, I call it breathing like a shark. Almost like you can visualize the gills opening and closing. That's our ribs. As they open, they expand to allow the lungs fill with energy with breath, and then they contract again as the lungs let out anything we don't need. When we take deep breaths, we're able to release those toxins, that sediment that sits in the bottom of our lungs. So let that stuff out. Let it go. You might even visualize color leaving your body. Maybe you come back to that affirmation. The universe has my back. Hakuna Matata. Which reminds me, the new Mufasa movie is out. Can't wait to see it. Let's just take one more breath here. And if we tuck the arms in, let's send them out. And then start to pick ourselves up. We're just going to shift forward and come onto our belly. So the hard part of class is done. We did all the warming up. Now we're going to get deeper into our stretches. So Sphinx pose. On the forearms, elbows just outside or underneath our shoulders. Find some length in the body. And then let's push with the forearms, open up, draw shoulder blades towards each other, open up the front of the body here. Neck is long. So we don't want to lift the chin. We want to keep the neck in line with our spine. So we just kind of, from that lift, the neck just extends from there. So we're gazing a little bit forward and maybe even a little bit down. Breathing, opening up the space in the front of our body, and then maybe pressing the hips a little more into the floor, squeezing the glutes a little bit. See if we can create a little more space by doing that. And then lower down. You can stack the hands or fists, bend the knees, maybe a quick little flush with reverse windshield wipe. So I'm going to give you the option to do Sphinx again or to come to Cobra. So you get to pick, as always. Letting the legs come down. Coming back to that Sphinx on our forearms, or this time hands, just outside shoulders or underneath shoulders. Both cases, we find length in the spine, and then we lift and open up. If we came all the way up in our Cobra, we just want to make sure the elbows have a little softness to them. We're not locking the joint. We push out of the shoulder girdle, and then we draw shoulders back, drawing shoulder blades towards each other in the back, breathing here. So if you came up to full extension in your Cobra, you're going to feel more lengthening in the front of your body, especially the hips. And maybe try pressing the tops of the feet into the floor if you came up to Cobra to see if you can get a little more length in the hips where your legs connect to your body. And that might help you get a little more lift, a little more lengthening in the spine, in the front, a little more back bend. Good. Just one more breath, Sphinx or Cobra, your choice. And then let's release down. Good. Again, a quick little flush out. Reverse windshield wipe. Maybe sigh. Make a sound here. Always taking the opportunity to let stuff go. And then letting the legs come down. Let's just take the arms out. Neck is in a neutral position. We're going to work the back line of the body here a little bit. So drawing belly button in, pressing hips down. So we have a nice foundation here. So we can lift left arm, right leg. Breathe. Squeezing our glute in the back side of the body. Feeling the shoulder, the back of the shoulder, and a little bit of the back, lift that arm up. Neck is just long and neutral. Release With your next exhale, change sides. So we're doing a cross-body movement here. Cross-body movements are great for keeping our brain sharp. They also help with our mobility, cross-body movements. Let's release down with your next exhale. We're going to do one more to each side. Exhale, lift again, other side. Breathing here again, keeping the neck long, neutral. Shoulders are relaxed. Even though you're lifting that arm, we don't want to draw the shoulder up by the ear. We want to just let the arm extend out of the shoulder joint. And release. With your next exhale, change sides again. Let maybe the exhale lengthen a little bit here. Notice your connection to the floor, your foundation. Let's release, bring hands under shoulders so we can push ourselves back. Last resting pose in this practice. So make it your own. Again, feel free to take knees wider, narrower. Again, you can stack the hands or fists to rest the forehead. You can add any movement that feels good, or you can find stillness and then just breathe. Find that 3-part breath. Again, maybe sigh or make a sound. Let stuff go. Take the opportunity. Check in with your affirmation. As it is, so it shall be. Or this too shall pass. One more breath here. And then we're going to pick ourselves up and come to a seated position. Now, this is where I always encourage, if you need a little more open space for the hips, feel free to grab your blanket or even a block and sit on it. It lifts the hips up so the legs hang and it creates a little more space. Otherwise, it's up to you. Let's start with the legs out in front. So finding those bones we sit upon, our sitting bones, legs hip distance, so they're extending from the hip in that line. And we're just going to give a little flex to the feet. So heels stay on the floor. The knees are a little bit soft. Push the sitting bones into the floor. Sit up nice and tall. Imagine you have a book on your head and you don't want it to slide off. Pick the shoulders up, set them down, and then let the hands just rest. Kind of like the arms are hanging and the hands hit the floor. Breathe here. So this is one of the seated equivalents to standing on our own 2 feet, right? We're sitting nice and tall. We're supported. We're open. There's a feeling when we sit nice and tall, it actually improves our level of confidence, our self-esteem. That's why that Wonder Woman pose when you're standing is so powerful, because it accesses that core, our solar plexus chakra, which is where our confidence and our willpower sits. And it just opens us up to know that we have, again, everything we need inside us, that we can do hard things. Let the shoulders relax, let the legs relax, and then let's just fold over the legs. Breathing here. So we're going to get some lengthening in the low back here. We're going to start to feel some pull in the backs of the legs. Maybe hands rest on the floor. We might not be tipping very far. We might, with exhales, shift a little deeper into this pose. Listen to your body. If you like, you can flex the feet a little bit, and that's going to get a little more into the backs of the legs. So it's going to shift the sensation of this pose. And if you're able to, you can hold on to the toes. There's nothing magical about that, though. You can even, if you have a strap, if you're used to using a strap, you can hold on to that instead so you're not overreaching. Finding our breath here. Just one more breath. And then walking ourselves up. Any seated position. You can stay with the legs extended or find your crisscross applesauce or the legs stacked in front of the other like I have here. Sitting up again, nice and tall. We're going to get some movement in our spine. When we sit a lot, during the holidays, we tend to sit a lot. So we want to get some movement in the spine to keep our mobility and, again, to kind of wring stuff out and let it go. So sitting up nice and tall, let the shoulders relax. Inhale, create a little more space. Exhale, we're going to twist. Doesn't matter to which side because we're going to do both, obviously. Hand can come to the outside of the thigh. Other hand can come to the floor. We might look over that shoulder. So getting some movement in the neck here, and then just breathe. See where you can create space. See if your exhale allows you a little deeper into the pose or to create a little more movement. Notice the muscles of the face here. Are you holding? Are you clenching? Try to let go. Maybe close your eyes, or if they're open, let them be soft. So notice when we take time and stillness in these poses, we can notice where we're holding our stress, and then take a moment and use our breath to help us release those places, those spaces. Good. Let's come back to center. Reach up and then stretch like you just woke up, and maybe pushing through each side so you feel the rib cage kind of popping side to side to side. Noticing that movement in your spine. And then grow tall with your exhale, twist to the other side. And then take a few breaths here. Use the exhale to maybe help you move a little deeper into that twist. Maybe you're at your edge and you just breathe and think of that mantra here. Again, we can turn the head to look over the shoulder if that feels okay. Check in with other parts of your body to see where you're holding tension. Maybe it's the neck. Maybe it's the shoulders. Maybe we have the shoulders way up by the ears here. Let them go. Let them relax. Notice how that feels when you take that exhale and you just, you let things relax. Maybe you didn't realize you were holding all that tension there. Good. One more breath here. And then we'll come back to center. We'll reach up. And again, we're going to do that little movement, reaching opposite side, up and then down, switching sides, noticing the movement in the rib cage here. Pushing maybe the fist up, the fingers up. You get to pick which finger you lift up. And then center yourself, reach up, tip to one side, both sitting bones pressing down. So we really lengthen from the hips. So we're not lifting up. We're nice and grounded. We have that solid foundation. We're sitting on our own two sitting bones. Create that space so we can take deep breaths to calm the bleep down, right? Notice where you're holding tension here. Try to let the jaw go, the cheekbones. Maybe you move the jaw around. Maybe you make some noise. And then inhale, push yourself up. Exhale to the other side. Noticing space on this side. Maybe you've noticed you're able to move more easily to one side than the other. And that generates a little awareness. Maybe a little light bulb went boop above your head. So the side you had a harder time with, you can't go as far. That's the side you need to spend more time stretching and maybe practicing breathing into that side to find balance. Good. Inhale. Come on up. Breathe. All right. If you sat crisscross applesauce, switch the leg that's in front. And then we're just going to do a little breathing exercise here just to kind of regroup, to give you another tool you can take off the mat. Now, if you don't enjoy this breathing exercise, I understand. Just come back to that 3-part breath. All right. But this one, we're going to do alternate nostril breathing. So finding your right hand, if you're right-handed, left hand, if you're left-handed, and just do the opposite of what I say. Using the thumb and the ring finger. So we're going to take the thumb to the right nostril. We're going to inhale through the left nostril. Deep breath. Close it with the ring finger. Exhale out the right nostril. And then we're going to inhale through the right nostril. Close it with your thumb. Exhale through the left. That's one rotation. So we're inhaling left. Exhaling right. Inhaling right. Exhaling left. Keep going. Inhaling left. Exhaling right. Inhaling right. Exhaling left. Keep going while I talk about this. So alternate nostril breathing helps to balance us. You might notice that you can breathe in through one side more easily than the other. That changes all day long. All right, so it just depends on what point in time you're doing this. But breathing in through the left stimulates our moon, our feminine side, our yin side. Breathing into the right stimulates our yang, or energetic, our masculine side. So by switching that breath from side to side, we're creating balance in the body. So it's a nice breath to come to when we're feeling a little scattered, when we're feeling unbalanced. It allows us to just regroup, center ourselves, and balance ourselves. It's also a great thing to do to help you meditate, because you have to focus on what you're doing. So when I teach people to meditate, this is one of the first things I teach them after the first deep part breath, because you have to think about what you're doing. Because I'm sure as I'm talking, you've probably forgotten maybe which side you're breathing in and out of. So know you can take this and come back to it. You can find this on YouTube. I do have it in my video subscription. I explain it. Let's finish wherever you are. Finish one more cycle so that you're exhaling through the left nostril if you're right-handed, right nostril if you're left-handed. All right. And then when you finish, just pause and breathe. So release the hand. Notice if you can breathe easier. Maybe some stuff cleared out. Do you feel more balanced? Do you feel more centered? Just kind of notice how you feel. And if you found that really frustrating, that's something you've noticed too. And maybe that's not something that you use in your toolbox. I didn't like that breath for many years. And eventually I just started to love it. So maybe it's not for you right now, but maybe it is later, and maybe it never is. And maybe you loved it and you'll do it every day. Take what you need. Take the pieces you need. It's like my book if you've read it. Take what you need, both books. Take what you need, use it. All right. Before we lie down, let's just do a quick bound angle or butterfly pose. So bottoms of the feet come together, let them open like a book in your lap. They're no closer than the length of our foot to our body to keep our knees safe. Finding our sitting bones, let the knees just open, and maybe we lift and lower a few times, kind of like a butterfly flapping its wings. Hands can be on the legs, on the floor, on our ankles. Eventually let the knees come to settle, sit up nice and tall, and then if we like, we can add a fold. So if you brought blocks into your practice, blocks always bring the floor a little closer to us, so it's a nice place to rest the hands. I will leave that up to you in your space. Good, letting the shoulders relax. We're here for about 2 more breaths. When we're done that second breath, eventually just coming up, lifting the legs up, and then bringing ourselves down to the floor. So you can bring the knees, the hands under the knees to help guide you down, or you can just lie down. Anytime we're on our back, this is our resting pose on our back, constructive rest. We can come here anytime we need to, anytime we like. You can always windshield wipe the legs. It helps to release the low back and the hips. We're going to do a quick little hip opener. So just coming to stillness, let's pick up the right leg, cross the ankle on the left, and just let the right knee open up. Press the tailbone into the floor, relax the shoulders into the floor, and then flex this foot, just keeping the joints safe. We can stay right here. If your hip says, this is enough for today, stay there. If you want more, pick up the leg and just hang on to the back of the leg. And the more we draw the knee in, the deeper we get into that stretch. So you listen to your body. Let the head rest on the floor, neck's nice and long. Let the shoulders relax. Just take a few breaths here. Again, let the jaw relax. We might close our eyes while we're here. Let the eyes soften. Let the ears soften. Tune stuff out. Just listen to my voice right now. That's all that matters as we finish our practice. Good. If we lifted the leg, place it down and then pause before you just go out of the pose. Just notice how that feels. Let your back sink back into the floor. And then let's all place the right foot on the floor. We're going to change sides. So we pick up the left leg, cross the ankle, open up that left hip. Press the tailbone into the floor. See if you can create more space. Let the shoulders relax. Head's just rested on the mat. And then if we decide we want more on this side, we can pick up the right leg and just hang on to the back of that leg. And again, the more we draw the knee in, the closer that knee gets to us, you're going to feel it in the glute, in our hip, mostly in our glute. Let the shoulders relax wherever you are. Just breathe. Maybe breathe into any sticky spots you found. Breathe to create space. Breathe to just center yourself. Good. Just one more breath if we've lifted the leg with it up. And then place the foot on the floor and then pause before you move. Just notice how you feel. Let the arms sink back down to the floor. Let the back open up. Feel those shoulder blades and then bring that foot down, maybe a quick little windshield wipe. So just one more little pose before we come into a final relaxation. It's just a 45-minute class today, so it goes by pretty fast, doesn't it? Feet hip distance, just making sure that our ankles are slightly ahead of our knees, hands by our side. I like to roll my shoulders down so I kind of maximize the space I have on the floor so I'm grounded. Neck is long. Inhale, use the exhale to push and lift. And if you're feeling like today you need a little support, if you have a block, bolster, blanket, whatever, you can pop it under your hips so you have a supported bridge here. So you get that benefit of the inversion, but there's less effort and we can just kind of sink into it and rest. If you feel like you want the activation, press up, squeeze the back side of the body, spread those toes, press the feet, and lengthen the front of the body. So we're feeling length here in the abdominals, in the hips. You'll notice as we lift the hips, you can even place your hands under the hips like mine are. A little prop up. So you can feel the lengthening. And we store stuff in our hips. So a bridge pose can help release stuff, can help to let stuff go. So maybe as we exhale here with our nice long neck, we say that affirmation again, or we imagine we're letting stuff go. It can have color to it if that feels or notices or looks right to us. Good. One more breath here. If we put the block in there, take it out, and then we'll lower ourselves down. And a quick little windshield wipe, and then you're going to find your final relaxation, whatever that is to you. So arms and legs traditionally go long in final relaxation. You can stay in that constructive rest, lie on your side, come to a seated position. I'm only going to sit up so that I can talk, and the mic catches my voice a little easier than if I were lying down. So settle in. You can throw a blanket over yourself if you feel like you need to stay warm. Maybe throw your socks back on. Wiggle around. Let yourself be supported in whatever position you're in. If you're lying down, maybe separate the shoulder blades, widen the back. Let the glutes relax and sink into the floor. Let your legs rest heavy, your feet, your toes, your arms, your hands, your fingers. If you're seated or in any other position, let as much of the body sink and be supported as you can, keeping length in the spine so you can take that deep breath. So we're coming back to that breath from the beginning of class that we've weaved throughout this practice. So that 3-part breath, as we inhale, we fill the bottom part of the lungs. So the belly moves out to create space for the lungs to fill up. The ribs expand as those lungs fill. And then the chest is the very top of the lungs. Fill up right to the top. You might even pause. Notice that fullness, the energy you've taken inside you, and then let it all out slowly, like a balloon losing its air. And you can even make that sound. Let it go. Continue to breathe and come back to whatever affirmation, or all of them or any of them, that resonated with you. The universe has my back. Everything's going to be okay. Hakuna Matata. Que sera, sera. As it is, so it shall be. This too shall pass. Whichever one really struck you, Let that be the affirmation that takes you through the rest of this day and even into tomorrow. Let it be there as your anchor when you need to just ground yourself again. Perhaps when you're feeling just a little bit anxious, find a quiet space, breathe, and come back to that affirmation, that anchor. The more you say it and the more you breathe with it, the more your brain will recognize that it's meant to calm you down, and then you'll automatically start to calm down. And just seeing where you can find softness. If you feel like you need more time here, just pretend that this is a longer class than you told your family and stay here. If you feel like you're complete, then just take a moment to add a little bit of movement and slowly make your way up to a seated position. If you feel like you need to add more movement, feel free to do that too. As you decide what you're doing and as you add movement or don't add movement, I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you for, first of all, doing this practice for yourself. That's why I did this. I did this for you. But I thank you as well for your support. And I look forward to the things we all bring together in 2025. And I wish you and your family all the best. The light and love in me shines the light and love in each of you whenever you are doing this, wherever you are doing this. Namaste. Thank you. And I hope to see you all soon.